What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the North Shore 9 postgame show. Pirates lose yet again, 8-4. We've got swept by the Giants. Still have 2 wins in the entire month of July. I'm Neil. I'm here with Doug. Doug, how are you doing?
Good. Toward the end of last night's show, I think Connor mentioned that this show was sort of like a therapy group or a support group. So maybe it's a 12-step group. So in the spirit of that, my name is Doug. I'm a Pirates fan. So,
Hi, Doug.
Not a lot to offer up today.
No,
the Pirates pirated, and what you should do is probably just click off us and go watch the interview we did with Paul Skeen's coach. The Big Three. The Big Three did a great interview on the North Shore 9 the other night, and a lot more hopeful than this post-game show is.
Going to be. We were talking about it like before we went live. Is like I don't have anything to add. Like there is nothing new about this team. It is still.
How many times can you say they can't hit? We score our runs with sacrifice flies and infield singles that shouldn't have been infield singles because their guy throws to first throws to second when he should have thrown to first. I mean,
it's awful. I mean, I guess one thing I'll add is that this is something the Pirates have been terrible at for years. But where's the power in this team?
Yeah.
Where's the person who's going to go get you a home run? Right now, you have one maybe in Jack Sawinski.
Right.
The rest of these guys don't hit for power, and sometimes, and this is a league where you need power. You need
right. It's a game based on home runs now. It's a game, predicated on having home run hitters, and Blake Sable has 10 home runs for the Giants, right? That put him second on the Pirates, right?
Yeah.
We've got a couple guys with 9. No, I guess Kutch has got 10. You look at the other teams and they have guys, they have 6 or 7 guys with double-digit home runs.
Yeah, home runs are what win you games that you don't necessarily deserve to win,
right?
Because you can fall into runs with a home run, and in a close game like today, if there was even one home run there, in the 8th, 7th, or 9th innings, this is a Pirates win, and we're actually kind of happy. But
in the second inning, right? We put guys on base, and this whole series has been indicative of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had we scored Friday night, walk, sacrifice fly, single walk, one home run in that, and we win that game. But no, that's and it's also seems to be our philosophy. Triolo came up with the bases loaded, and he was looking to get a run in. He wasn't looking to do damage. And I know he's not a power hitter. I know, but couldn't he be trying to hit a double to the gap, right? Maybe clear the bases that way. Do we have to always be trying to? That was a good at bat. He got that sacrifice fly. He hit it just deep enough.
Yeah.
Could it be a better at bat where he rips a double and 2 runs scored, 3 runs maybe?
It's always interesting when you're talking about this team because I think everyone kind of expected going into the bases loaded, no outs to score 0 runs.
Yeah.
And so everyone kind of took 1 run as a victory, but there was no hit. It was a sacrifice fly. It was the offense has been terrible for a very, very long time. And sure, you can point to injuries, but just because you're missing O'Neal Cruz, this team should not be hitting worse than the 2022 Pirates.
Right. Well, I think we need to sort of get over we're missing O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz was not a 10-WAR player, right?
Yeah.
He hit 233. He was not on pace to be some sort of dominant all-star player. Yes, we were expecting him to take a step forward this year, but there's no guarantee of that. I'm not sure that O'Neill Cruz.
He was on pace to be like a 4-WAR player last year. Like he was on pace for 30 home runs, like 100 RBI. Like, you can't. And so like when we talk about a lack of power, we are missing our best power bat. But at the same time, you can't just depend on one guy.
He's not a cure-all. Right. I mean, it's and that's, I mean, that's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is all right, we can get Endy up here and he can do some stuff, and Cruz can come back. I don't know if that's enough. I mean, Brian Reynolds needs to go back to being 2021 Brian Reynolds. He is not a dynamic bat right now. He's a nice player. That on his based on his production this year, on most times he'd be batting 6th or 7th and would not be counting on to be, big gun.
Well, it's just interesting because like you look through this lineup, and so I'll go through the lineup today, whether I would roster them. I would roster Connor Joe as like a platoon bat. I would roster Brian Reynolds. He's a really good player.
Absolutely.
I would roster McCutchen. I would even roster Carlos Santana. Josh Palacios needs to be sent down. He is not MLB ready. Henry Davis is great. Still adjusting as a rookie. I like Jared Triolo as like a role player, not as a starter. Marcano's out of his depth. Gonzalez looks out of his depth.
Yes.
And Jason DeLay has no business being on the roster. So like you've assembled like a bunch of like nice role players, but there's no star power.
No, there's not. Right. There's nobody. Again, we don't have any dynamic bats in the lineup right now. There are some that have that potential, right? Sawinski could be. Obviously, Reynolds can be. Obviously, it looks like Henry Davis can be. And he seems to, he had scuffled there for a little bit. He's been pretty good this series. But, man, I mean, it's just.
No, I mean, like, even like, when you get good days, like Reynolds had a good day, McCutchen scored twice, Henry Davis had a good game, even Jared Triolo had a good game. Like, when you get that production, like, you should win that game.
Right.
But those are the only 3 players who showed up today.
Yeah. And like, that's it. Especially when you don't have power, when you don't have home run hitters, you need to string hits together. Not sacrifice flies. You need to string hits together, not productive outs. You need hits. Okay, so we don't have the big bopper. Can we get some, again, can somebody lace the ball into the gap? And our organizational approach doesn't seem, I mean, we look like we've taken the right fielder from every little league team. The kid that just would stand there and just not swing the bat because he was afraid. But he still got walked a lot because, little league pitchers aren't that great. That's what it looks like our approach is. Hey, just hopefully you can get on base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so here's the thing. If I would honestly be okay with like the hitting philosophy for like waiting for your pitch if it was resulting in home runs and hard hit balls, but it's not. Like we got 7 before extra innings. We had 7 hard hit balls all game before extra innings, and then they put in their garbage reliever.
Yeah,
so not only are you striking out too much, you're not actually hitting the ball well, and we're seeing is like Marcano he's not striking out necessarily, but it's a weak ball every time. Right. Gonzalez strikes out, and like he's been hitting the ball weak. Jason DeLay can't hit the ball hard. Palacios can't hit the ball hard. Like when you look up and down this roster, it's just no hitters are going to be this good. And like they were scoring more runs when Wilmer Defoe was starting at second base.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem. Like,
right. Yeah. No, like I said, and the problem is now is that we have some of the guys up, right? It's like, oh man, we've got, Henry Davis is up here. It's like, what's, maybe this week we bring up Endy, and then it's like, there's nothing else other than waiting for Cruz to come back. I mean,
Paguero maybe, yeah,
but you're right. Paguero could hopefully, but we seem rather reluctant to bring him up for some reason. I'm not sure why at this point.
I'm not gonna get too into Paguero. I think that like he just hasn't been too consistent his entire time in the pro scene. That like I'm okay with him marinating and making sure that he's putting together consistent at bats.
Yeah. I'm not screaming for him. So he's on a nice hot streak right now.
Yeah,
and maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to try to take advantage of that, see if it would translate. But right, like I said, the only the only two things to do here are bring up Endy and get Cruz healthy.
Yeah.
And then, and let's just get him at bats. I mean, Cruz needs at bats.
Yeah.
I know I've heard people say stuff about shutting him down. If he's healthy to play, if he's 100% healthy, he needs to play because he needs at bats. It would be nice to see sort of a lineup that went Kutch, Reynolds, Cruz, Davis, or something along those lines, just to, just to see like, all right, there's 4 guys who can all, again, Kutch gets on base so well, and the other 3 obviously all project to be above average hitters. If we could maybe get a little something going, so we're not a team that loses 3 out of 4 all the time at home.
Yeah. I mean, like, and all those games were winnable. Like, a slightly better team sweeps the Giants this series.
Yeah.
But we're not a good team. We haven't been a good team for 2.5 months.
You can't. Right.
And
if we get a great starting outing, the bullpen can't, or the offense. It's 2 out of 3 things fail every game. Either the offense and consistently the offense, but if we get good starting pitching, Holderman can't hold a lead, and the offense can't give you 2 runs, and you're just like, well, that was
let's put it this way: like when you have 2 games. So last night, Oviedo probably has the best start of his career. Right. 7 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts, like incredible stuff. And when you remove Osvaldo Bido after 2 2/3, and he's given up 3 earned runs, and then the bullpen comes in and gives you 6 shutout innings,
right?
You have to win that game. Like,
right.
The bullpen was incredible today. Like, and it wasn't anyone great. Like, we went Baraki, Bolton, and Perdomo.
Right. When those 3 guys
slam the door.
Right? Yeah. When those 3 guys throw up zeros, you have to win that game, right? Yeah. You have to validate that some sort of way. De Los Santos, if he comes in and with clean circumstance or something, he's fine. But I'm telling you, anytime it's a high leverage situation, and this is going back to last year, he does not seem ready for these tougher situations at this point. Yeah. He looks good, but
it's so weird because and it's almost one of those moments where we wish Bido wasn't starting the game, because Bido had a really pretty good first 2 innings.
Second inning was great.
Right. You can see someone who can come in for an inning and get you 3 outs. He should not be starting the game though. No. And so when you have to go to Yerry De Los Santos because your offense is so bad that you burn Holderman and Bednar in a tie game, I mean, what else is Shelton supposed to do? Because if he doesn't do that, he's going to get yelled at for not going to his best guys in a tie game. He
doesn't stand a chance. I mean, I know people run him out of town, but
what? But that was the worst I've seen Yerry probably in his career, which was just fitting. It really was just fitting. That was to give up 5 runs in the 5 runs in the inning, typical. But we can't be going to guys like that in tie games, and that's only on one person.
Right. Right. Yeah. Someone mentioned it was Connor again yesterday. He tweeted out, we don't want to overuse Bednar, and I agree with that in theory, but it's we don't have save opportunities. I don't think there's a whole lot of danger of having to bring him in 2 to 3 games in a row. So if you have to bring him in the 8th, it's fine. But you're right. When we're having to use our best bullpen guys in tie games at home, right? That it just, it's a bad circumstance. This roster, I don't know if you heard the interview with Charrington, and he said, we're not satisfied at this point. So I was glad to hear that we're not satisfied with 100 game loss pace.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would just say in terms of this comment, I think both last night and tonight were pretty similar games. The pitching was there. You take the pitching for what you get from that, but then you have to win the game with your offense. And even last night, the bullpen didn't blow it. The defense blew it.
Right.
Bednar just got horribly unlucky when they scored those 2 runs last night.
Yeah.
And then today, Bednar shuts the door. Holderman shuts the door. You get 2 shutout innings from Angel Perdomo. And it boggles my mind. The offense should not be this bad. And it doesn't help too. Like, you have like a 27-year-old AAA guy who shouldn't be starting games. And what do? You put Henry Davis in right field where he's never played before the Pro Bowl. You give starts to Jason DeLay, who's been terrible, who has no future on this team.
No, he has no future in baseball.
And instead of giving this time to your rookie number 1 overall pick, when you already roster 5 outfielders, we have 5 outfielders on the roster, and we are playing Henry Davis in right field every day.
And
make it make sense to me.
I point to Blake Sabol. Blake Sabol is not a polished catcher, but San Francisco will let him learn at the major league level. I agree. Henry Davis is not ready. He can't frame pitches as well as Austin Hedges. He's got work to do, but this entire team has work to do. This team is not contending this year. We're not fighting, clawing our way back into the division or anything like that. I would assume, because it seems like they still believe Henry Davis is a catcher, right? Because if they didn't, they would have put him in right field in day 1 in AA and AAA this year and let him play, or would have started him at AAA as a right fielder and let him start working on honing that skill. But no, they were catching him. And, I don't think many of us believe that he wouldn't be catching up here. We just thought, this is service, time manipulation crap, and that he's going to come up here and he's going to catch 3 times a week or whatever. And no, so they really believe he can't catch. Well, this is the place. This is the time. We might as well start teaching him.
Yeah, I know he's mistimed for injury in the minors, but and if you're dead set on keeping Austin Hedges around because of the mentorship and the fact that he can help Davis, why aren't we letting him catch and mentor? You don't have to start him at catcher every day.
No,
if you need to keep Hedges around and start him 3 times a week, you can do that. I honestly would not be so up in arms about Austin Hedges if he was the backup to Henry Davis.
I would love having him on this team as a backup. But I do. But again, he's got a lot to offer. But 25 at bats a week is not one of the things he should be offering.
Yeah, and so it's this horrible roster management. And I know people will blame the manager. People will blame Ben Cherington. At this point, I don't care who it is. If it is Derek Shelton, then Derek Shelton needs to go.
Right.
And he needs to be playing Davis. Because I know Ben Cherington said this morning that it's on management to decide when Davis catches. I don't believe that.
No,
but if that is the case, then what does Derek Shelton do? And if Ben Cherington sees Davis is a catcher, then he should be on the phone every morning with Derek Shelton saying, "Hey, why isn't my guy catching?"
Well, then, right. If that is, then Shelton should be fired, right? Okay, because that's my biggest thing with all the crap that Shelton gets is I don't think he gets to make very many decisions.
I don't think so either.
I think the majority of the decisions, lineup, usage, everything are decided by the front office. And that Derek Shelton is a great company man, and he sits there and he takes the crap that comes with it, and that's it. And there is no way that Ben Cherington believes that Davis should be catching, and it's only Shelton's stubbornness that he's not. That's not how.
There's 2 possibilities. First, that's not how major league teams are run, or if it is how the Pirates are run, that's a problem. That's a big problem because Ben doesn't care about the development of his number 1.
Now, I think if that's the case, Shelton should be fired today.
Yeah.
Right. If he is refusing to play a player at a position that the general manager believes he should be playing, then he should be fired. This is Art Howe and Moneyball, right?
As probably one of the biggest Derek Shelton defenders, if that's true,
right?
He has no business being here, and he's way out of his depth.
That's me. I've got no problem because one thing for sure is the players like Shelton. And maybe they like him because he doesn't hold them to any sort of standard, but whatever, they like him and respond to him.
Yeah.
They all seem to rally around him. And that's the thing that gives me, the greatest hope for him, because again, I think most decisions come from Cherington.
I do too. And
but like you said, if that's not the case, then he's got to go. And, he can hire you and put you in, because again, you don't have a lot of decisions to make. I don't think the manager on this team has a lot of decisions to make.
I mean, like, I definitely believe like everything in games. Like, if you truly believe Derek Shelton's bullpen management is bad, that is entirely on him because he gets to make all the decisions in game. But when it comes to like where people bat, where people get to play every day, like I don't think that's all on him.
Yeah,
And
I don't think it's much on him, right?
Like, I know he gets to say, but like I feel like Derek Shelton's been in the business too long to seriously sit there and say, yes, we should put Henry Davis at right field every day.
Yeah.
I think for my own sanity, I have to believe that because the alternative is that means he's been a walking corpse in baseball for the past 20 years.
Right. I mean, it doesn't ring true at all, right? I mean, So and then when it comes to the in-game decisions, he doesn't have great options. So I don't want to say I give him a complete pass, but
like
again, if he managed the bullpen brilliantly today, right? Until again, De Los Santos, who's had an 0.99 ERA or something, or or no, an 0.66 ERA with a batting average against of like 0.98. So that was not the wrong guy to call.
No,
right?
Like, the manager's, but like I think I mentioned it because like roster construction, because I saw a lot of people getting mad that Derek Shelton didn't pinch hit Jason DeLay,
right?
Which fair, but it was a lefty in. And the roster is constructed so badly that on his bench, all he had were two lefties. One was G-Man Choi, and the other was Josh Palacios.
I think it's
who was it? Or Sawinski. Right. Sorry, Sawinski. You have two lefties going up against a lefty. Both Choi and Sawinski are useless, and we only have 3 middle infielders on the roster and 0 natural shortstops. Like. Yeah. The roster is constructed so badly. I don't know what Derek Shelton's supposed to do.
Right. That's what I'm saying. His options are not great. He can't. He's not looking down and saying, "Oh, great, I've got Bobby Bonilla on the bench." No, it's not what's happening. It's like, which guy that's on a 0 for 7 stretch with 6 strikeouts do I put in now?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and you don't start G-Man Choi and Jack Sawinski because it's lefty, and I think that's going to be a problem because recently Sawinski and Choi have just been some of the better hitters.
Right. And I thought it was so funny when they took Alex Wood out. I'm like, you realize you're going against the Pirates, right? Like he's going to be fine. He's got 3 more innings.
Gabe Kapler is the sweatiest manager in baseball, so it doesn't surprise me. But I mean, we can talk about roster management, but ultimately the offense isn't good enough, and it hasn't been good enough for 2 months. And I think Mackey put out yesterday that we have scored the least amount of runs in baseball since May 1st.
Yeah.
And
to me, like I said, it looks like a bunch of passive guys looking to get a walk. Right. I mean, because I get it. Again, I agree with looking for your pitch, waiting for your pitch, that sort of thing. But occasionally, for example, the bases loaded and nobody out, you might need to expand your zone just a little. You got to look to do some damage and keep the I mean, I know, and the pitcher was a little wild, whatever it was, but it just seems like nobody is up there. Maybe except Henry Davis and Santana seem the only ones that seem to come up and just, try to murder the ball.
And I guess my thing is that there's a reason the Brewers moved on from Andy Haynes.
Right.
Like he is known when we hired him as the guy who ruined Christian Yelich.
Right.
And you would think after 2 years in the organization, because this is the 2nd year, you would try something different because we have tried this approach for the past 2 years. It doesn't work.
No,
pitchers are too good to let, and all they have to do is like pepper the zone with a couple strikes to start off because the Pirates aren't going to swing at that, and you're already down 1-2, 0-2.
Yeah.
And the pitcher and it opens up a world of possibilities for the pitcher, and so, I mean, this offense, the players on this offense are not as bad as the runs show. You actually have a collective of like a majority of the players, unlike the last couple of years, the majority of players on that bench and in that rotation belong on a major league roster somewhere.
Right. No, right. I said that's the scary part about this is not Van Meter and who was the Japanese first?
Yoshi.
Yoshi. Yeah, this is not Van Meter and Yoshi and us screaming, why are they there? I mean, has Andy Haynes, Christian Yelich, Brian Reynolds? I mean, that's what I'm, it's like, wait a minute. Brian Reynolds now just seems to sit there with the bat on his shoulder. And I don't know. I mean, he may have some, back issues still lingering or whatever, but man, he just does not look as aggressive as he once did. And that's a problem.
And I would say, because a lot of people say, it's not on Andy Haynes, it's on the players. Well, the Padres this year hired Scott Coolbaugh from the Tigers, who is one of the worst hitting coaches in baseball. He told everyone to swing flat and hit the ball into the ground at the Tigers organization. And the Padres offense hasn't been good this year. Hitting coaches and hitting philosophies matter a lot.
They sure do.
So especially, and I think one valid criticism of Shelton is that he was a lifelong hitting coach.
Right.
I don't know if you guys remember seeing him in the commercial with the swing, the swinging stick. But he was a hitting coach for the longest time. And so if he can't see what's wrong, that is a huge indictment on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't see how anyone can watch a Pirates game and say they just look like they're waiting. You know what I'm saying? And not attacking. And like I said, Triolo, they were talking about him. He's got a 9-game hitting streak now, and he's like, I'm being more aggressive. And it's like, yeah, maybe we should share that information with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
I guess I don't like
Sherrington's he has yet to fire any of the people that he's hired.
I don't like the one-size-fits-all approach, because this kind of approach does actually work for people. It works for Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen, I think, has actually benefited from this style because he's always had a good eye, and because he's old enough and smart enough to know when to swing and when not to swing.
Right.
But for guys like Reynolds and Davis and Triolo and Castro and so on, and Cruz, I mean, I could actually see it benefiting Cruz, because when he came up, he was a bit of a free swinger. But it's more you got to be flexible. The same approach isn't going to work for everyone, and everyone takes the exact same approach.
It doesn't work in any kind. It doesn't work in management style. You can't. You have to yell at some guys, and you need to hug others, right?
Yeah.
You can't treat everybody the same in everything. It just can't be done. You have to. I always go to the Bill Belichick philosophy. He doesn't care about what people can't do. He focuses on what they can do, and he puts them in that position to succeed. I'm going to ask you to do what you do well, right? And that's what I think you need to do with hitters. All right, you may hit this pitch, you may do your approach,
which is crazy. Because I feel like the first month of the year when we were winning games and looked great is we were putting people in positions to succeed.
Oh,
we were platooning them with the right players and making sure they faced the right-handed pitching and they played in position. And you could really tell that there was an effort to work cohesively. And that kind of feels like it's gone by the wayside.
Remember we were playing small ball? Remember that?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I do.
We were, that seems so long ago, but we were like, oh my gosh, yes. Now, a couple things. Connor Joe was hitting 400. Rodolfo Castro was killing left-handed pitchers.
But that's because they were only hitting against left-handed pitchers.
Right.
Again, they were in positions to succeed. And I think injuries have kind of taken that toll where they're forced into everyday starting roles. But at the same time, it just feels like that careful attention has been kind of stripped away from the team. And it's just a bunch of guys going through the motions now.
Yeah, this team looks like it's got. I mean, again, especially at the plate, playing defense as well. They have. It's just. You're right. Going through the motions, it feels like that. This is the September of a 100-loss season. I mean, it's just hey man, let's get this over and start it again next year. Hopefully we can. But man, it's just. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating again. And right, we don't. This isn't guys that are just holding places for the most part. These are guys we're counting on. This is Brian Reynolds and Henry Davis, and I mean, I am not counting a lot on Nick Gonzalez at this point, but it's just, man, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of these guys that we would roster on a major league team, and there's a lot of these guys that'll be on next year's roster, right?
Yeah.
And we've got to get this figured out. And I would think the first step would be to get rid of the hitting coach, but Ben Cherington has yet to change.
I would clear the coaching staff out. If that meant Shelton too, go for it, because
you might have to.
I think Marin is cooked too.
Yeah.
But I think we've gone on for a while.
Yeah.
The Pirates
too much about the game. Henry Davis looked good. Bullpen mostly looked good.
We touched on the game, like we talked about the issues with the game, but Pirates get swept 0-3 out of the break, 2-10 in the month of July.
Okay.
And now we have 3 games at home versus the Guardians.
Right. Quinn Priesters.
Quinn Priester debuts tomorrow against a very favorable opponent. The Guardians' offense isn't very good. So
all they got to do is score 2. All they have to do is score 2. So.
We will all be on the post game tomorrow yelling about how Quinn Priester got a quality start and the Pirates scored 1 run and we lost 3-1.
Yeah, it is.
But thank you all for joining us. And have a good day.
Yeah, guys, take it easy. Go watch the North Shore 9 interview with I think it's Jay Johnson, Paul Skeen's coach.
Yeah,
that you'll feel better.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Hey, you all, thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.